Is it coming back?
Yeah, can I record now? Can I do my job? Or my hobby that doesn't pay? In between the lists to prevent me from wanting to smash my monitors in, I'm going to break them up with some easier projects in the middle. Possibly a cover v cover. I'm not planning this. Planning is for chums. I had heard of Bowl of Heaven for quite a while, but the first guy I saw cover it was ParkaGrind. They're a grindcept type, and they sound like this.
Sometimes even significant portions of your lifespan. If you wanted to start off PP Baby Lil Weenie simple, you could pull up Project 5, a lovely pair.
Honestly, props to this guy for having a fucking personality. Many people in my generation are just a brick wall to talk to. Honestly, I like that video alright, and I find it funny that a grindcept type guy is doing the type of analysis I do, and better, but either way, what in the bowl pizzles is a Bowl of Heaven? Bowl of Heaven are a noise project fronted by who knows and who cares. That joke was funny before I learned Clayton Counts died a few years ago, and now it's only Neil Keener. They started in 2006 with the song Weed Problem, and somehow it's 45 minutes. That's one hell of a bowl to carry. I'm sorry. Despite my failure to do what comes out of my mouth and cover acts like this, I thought this band was from Germany or Estonia, but no, they're from my goddamn state. You're telling me at some point as a wee spree I could have ran into one of these Rasputin-looking motherfuckers? I've tried to get into Bowl of Heaven multiple times. As an adult, I'm not a child anymore. And by that, I mean go to their website and shuffle until I stop. Their music isn't on main streaming platforms besides uploads from fans. You have to go to their website, which either divides songs by the order they do or by the length. Great, God help you if you want to listen to one of these stupid albums. And why do I have that attitude? The one thing most of you should know about Bowl of Heaven is what Bowl of Heaven is about. Their extreme album lengths. Compression is a bitch. If you don't know how zip bombs turn 9.1 yottabytes into your purse, then you won't understand why a song by Bowl of Heaven can last 3.343 quindecillion years. And for the record, the length of the universe to its heat death is around 22 undecillion years or something. Utilizing algorithms and zip compression, I think, the band churns out electric experiments of varying quality that last eons long, usually with a tone of dread or some kind of emptiness. Their most famous album, the one with the obese Bowl of Heaven, is 12 hours long. They utilize the extreme metal font on top of their covers. They're a noise project that may be one of the few actual underground acts left. What's the deal? We'll get into the reason, but for now, let's address the band name. Or should we? Bowl of Heaven might be the first band, and maybe the only band I cover, where you're not really expected to listen to everything. Not only because of the quantity of music, but how long each piece can last. There's also the truth that, based on the imagery of this band, I can tell some of this is meant to be ironic. Maybe not in the same way Tiger Cub are ironic, more in the irony that PC music was, half serious, half joking, if you get that. If anything, breaking it down the way I'm going to isn't the point, but I'm having fun here. The Bowl of Heaven originates in Mesopotamia, in the oldest surviving epic of Gilgamesh, where Ishtar sends the bowl after him when he won't leave her alone. Tale as old as time. However, the ethereal bowl trope is reused a lot in mythology, especially animal imagery in particular. Ancient Minos were obsessed with bowls. Vishnu fights a powerful bowl, as does Hercules. There's a sacred bowl in the Serpent King, and of course, the Minotaur. Though the Minotaur was probably a bastardization of Minos' religion due to their piracy problem, if you look between the lines in the story, their iconic religious figure being mangled and horrified from the outsider perspective. We don't have their perspective because the island fell into the ocean. Abrahamic mythology involves quite a moderate amount of sacred animals like the scapegoat, the sacred lamb, I believe that's one of the holy figures, and the many eldritch abominations like seraphim that have bull heads. The funny thing is that the main album cover Bowl of Heaven is known for is not religious. These obese pictures of livestock were probably just paintings commissioned to show off. Or were they? Because having large animals that were beyond sanity was probably a sign of saintliness, and after all, you want people to know how much you want to suck off Jesus more than most, right? Bowl of Heaven is the ultimate parody of that ferocious distortion of culture. All of their songs are named after literature in some way. Some are numbered, but newer pieces are not. Good luck finding those. And they're all beyond bloated for no real purpose. Every song and album sort of just exists in its own void. What's funny is that if you actually listen to the really long pieces, you'll quickly realize they're basically background pieces. In terms of the shorter pieces, the first album I managed to listen to in some way through was 333, Of Course the Personality Is Gone. Which is a collage of noise instruments, electronic movements, and other shit. An album cover of a staircase descending into the abyss, being swallowed by the maw of some force far beyond your capabilities. To be honest, 333 sounds kind of randomized. Which is rich, I know, but I mean that literally. There's order in the reputation, sure, but... Generally, the album just kind of throws a bunch of familiar noises and sounds with almost no musical cohesion. Did I like it? I guess. The funny thing is I've listened to a few Bullet Heaven tracks and almost all of them make me feel this way. I have this hollow admiration for them. I admire the artistry and the experimentation. I like pretentious fuck-offs who break rules just because, but the music doesn't click with me. Guess I need to be a grind set type or something.
Sorry for all you STEM majors or whatever watching right now.
The thing is with the grind set mindset, ooh, that rhymed, is that the lure towards Bowl of Heaven is towards the impossible challenge, like climbing a mountain that hasn't been expeditioned, in the same way that drift funk became the main genre because of its power and loudness. Bowl of Heaven is such a lull because of the length. You listen to this because of the knowledge that you can't listen to everything. All the power is in your hands to find those gems. I relate to that. It's just that when you actually start digging, you realize how strange and distorted Bowl of Heaven really is. It's hard to explain. I've covered quite a bit of noise and ambient on this channel, and no one really sounds like Bowl of Heaven. Which makes their choice to stretch out their pieces to extreme lengths so intriguing. They're basically telling you, to your face, to choose between listening to something longer than your lifetime, the lifetime of the universe, or the songs you can actually finish. You can hear a sample, but you will never stoop to that power. What's funny is that they have songs in their discography that will never be finished. Not in this lifetime, not in any lifetime. They have songs that themselves are hours long, days long, and years long that can theoretically finish, but they also have pieces that are a few minutes or 20 minutes or something. Why waste your time on long drone projects meant to fulfill a challenge when you could try to some of their genuine hard hitters? What a unique band. I guess there's nothing else to say, right? A lot of the discussion around Bowl of Heaven is entirely on their absurd song lengths. If you look at the other longest music type beats, you'll quickly realize how arbitrary it is. The last longest album I remember getting attention was the Caretakers Everywhere at the End of Time. Probably because it was one of the biggest albums of 2020, but also because it's a super album that's 6 albums totaling 6.5 hours long. The point of the album was to explore a narrative style, exploring the effects of dementia using album records as analogies for memories. Each album gets more and more distorted while also paying allusions to certain side effects of dementia like sundowning, PTSD, and lucid something. It's a dark and depressing album inspired by the prior album, An Empty Bliss Beyond This World, which was inspired by a study about how listening to music can aid memory loss, and that Alzheimer's patients' last memory is usually their favorite song. On another hand is The Devil Gulch. Sometimes you can fix something by just being a prick. The Devil Gulch was a world record longest song which lasted an entire hour with a bunch of writers and performers and a bunch of verses. It's a pretty good song, frankly. I actually finished it, but the length is more of a novelty. It also isn't the longest song even for the time. It's just the most accessible longest song of all time. When it comes to long albums, the purpose is rarely as orchestral as Everywhere at the End of Time. 10 Skies, The Seer, and Seraphim are absolutely albums made long to bring out an experience. Their lengths, in a way, give them power. However, Fairuz's Chansons Immortelles has 30 songs because Fairuz is extremely popular and you can hash out streaming metrics with them. Same for long albums getting entire second editions. Why do I bring this up? I don't know, because I can. Stop asking so many questions. The funny thing is we're living in an age where space isn't a problem. In the vinyl days of the LP, to make an album longer than an hour, you'd probably need 2 discs. In the days of tapes, albums had a little more space at the cost of the plastic being fragile and prone to bootlicking. God forbid we give the poor any more power. The quality could be good, but the space wasn't that different until the CD, where space became expanded and you can easily fit an hour into one. The technology needed time to evolve and still has limits and a price tag. But then the digital age happened. Space and price were still concerns, but in the age of streaming, they're close to non-existent. When I was a kid, a 1 GB RAM chip was enormous. I have a 16 GB on my computer, and it's close to too much. Having the access to so much space means we can truly sell everything in our pockets. Except, the problem is we expect this space to be used even though we are still limited in our time. Video games are bloated and filled to milk out every penny, movies hash out entry after entry in whatever small franchise is mildly successful, and albums are released with more and more songs with more and more additions. I brought this up before, but for every major song release, there are like 10 versions of it. The single version, the EP version, the pre-EP version to promote the LP version, the remix of the remix, the deluxe version, the alternative mix, and the live versions. It's ridiculous. I'm pretty sure the Beatles have more songs credited to them and released in their name than songs that existed in their lifetime. The funny thing about those bloated livestock images is that they're kind of the most pure form of gluttony. Because if you grow animals that large, then you sell more food, and you get more money. You have more divineliness in theory, but in practice you're just a capitalist, right? And what more is that shown than in Bowl of Heaven's music? People talk about AI in music, but Bowl of Heaven almost sounds like AI music made by a person. It has the same empty, hollow feelings, but the soul of someone trying to sound like something. Their music isn't empty in the same way AI music generally is, because music being put into language and format implies humanity, where the derivative of that is mechanical, hence why AI voice in music usually doesn't pass unless it's meticulously polished too. Either way, Bowl of Heaven is the most blunt version of that. Bloated, massive drone projects with the adage of, look, more. Bowl of Heaven produces the most extreme version of our maximalist hellscape, where everything is stretched to be as far as it can go, where albums and tracks are eons long, while the content inside is either held back or stretched thin. Their music is pretty accessible, honestly, but it just sounds really, really bizarre because who's the target audience of an album you can't listen to? You don't have time to listen to everything being pushed towards you, so make your time special. You won't have it forever.